Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. In the headlines tonight, a monumental piece of artwork transforms Hull city centre, the changing role of farmers in East Lindsey and life-changing support to rough sleepers in Lincolnshire. And keeping me company on the sofa tonight will be the Blokes United, Phil Lamb and Chris Johnson, talking about tackling mental health in men across the Humber. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Monday's programme with me, Luke Adams. First tonight, a total of 342,000 turned out to visit Made in Hull. The week-long event officially launched Hull as UK City of Culture 2017 and told the story of the city through a series of commissions by local and international artists staged across the city centre. It was created by Sean McAllister, the Hull-born BAFTA-nominated documentary filmmaker. The historic heart of Hull City has been transformed with a monumental piece of artwork. It was moved along the streets from the Seamen's Port in the early hours of yesterday morning into its resting place in Queen Victoria Square, where it will remain until the 18th of March. In a major commission for Hull 2017, artist Nayan Kulkarni has taken a 70-metre-long rotor blade that would normally be at the top of a wind turbine to create the artwork, a spectacular interruption into the newly renovated public space. The artwork, called Blade, bisects the square from Savile Street to Carr Lane, rising to a height of more than 5 metres at its tip, allowing double-decker buses to pass underneath. Farmers in East Lindsey are having to brush up on their IT skills to meet the demands of the industry. TIL, Technology for Information Literacy, aims to provide local farmers with the basic skills of IT work, including emails, word and spreadsheet processing, social media and more. Fred McNamara has the full story.
Farmers in East Lindsey are having to work longer in their profession due to the rapidly ageing population of the area and difficulties in passing the profession on to the younger generation. This means that the farmers are having to acquaint themselves with the ever-evolving technology used in the industry. The use of ICT is a vital resource in farming, but statistics show that older people are less likely to be familiar with how to operate the technology itself.
We've worked quite closely with the NFU, and we've also had support from North Cattle Market and local press, and we've held focus groups with farmers to establish that there is very much a need in East Lindsey for this kind of training. Farming is becoming very fast-paced, and there is much more now that people need to do online. And our focus groups have told us that they're feeling slightly left behind by the pace of technology. And this is a way of reaching out to the community that we serve and helping them to become more self-sufficient.
This is where TIL comes in. The Technology for Information Literacy is designed to assist farmers in developing their ICT skills. The project involves using tablets and keyboards, emails, word processing and social media, all of which are regular tools used in the world of farming.
The course is designed for people who have absolutely limited or no knowledge of ICT at all. So we'll cover from actually setting up a tablet and turning it on, to printing, to basic word processing for things like business letters, invoicing, Excel spreadsheets which could be used for soil plans, cropping plans, stock records, for example. And also obviously online access as well, so that people can search for crop prices, stock prices, they can look at DEFRA websites, they can download forms from the Rural Payment Agency, online banking, all of the plethora of uses really of online technology.
Auto steering on tractors. It saves time, it saves fuel, eases the burden on the driver because he's not concentrating all the time. All you have to do is just turn the tractor at the ends and then push a button and it takes care of itself going back down the field. That's a big innovation. I don't think the younger generation really realise how technical farming has become. The farmers of today will be able to attract the younger generation because they've got the same knowledge, or part of the same knowledge as the younger generation have.
Well, the 8 weeks will really be an introduction to the ICT in peer groups to really give people, stimulate them to go on and learn more for themselves through the online platform. There will be ongoing support over the course of the year. The project doesn't end until January 2018, and we'll continue to support people during that time and also help them to move on to other courses that the Institute also offers within the community. Well, our objective really is to impact on business productivity, to help people to save time, to save money, to become more efficient in their use of ICT, so that they're not necessarily relying on other people for support or paying for external support, but they're actually able to access the information that they need for themselves.
Life-changing support will be offered to the most vulnerable and entrenched rough sleepers across Lincolnshire. It comes after a successful county-wide bid for government funds as part of a 4-year initiative that will see service providers tasked with achieving specific outcomes. These include enabling each rough sleeper to become drug and alcohol free and having access to education, training and employment. A group of councils and agencies from across Lincolnshire applied for the Social Impact Bond Fund totalling £1.3 million. Now it's time for reflections, and this week's message comes courtesy of the Reverend Andy Tappin of Grimsby St John's and St Peter's Church.
Good evening and a Happy New Year from all of us here at St John and St Stephen's on the East Marsh of Grimsby. As some Christians, as part of a New Year's resolution or a pact they've made with themselves and perhaps God, that they will read the Bible, as in the whole book. This book is not just a book. It's actually 66 books. It's a library. Now, this is no mean feat, and it will take you some time. So if you open the page and start at Genesis, you might find by numbers that you've completely lost it and go off piste, and that'll be that, and you'll just dip in and out. But actually, if you can persevere, you'll find that it becomes part of you. And when things start to get tricky in your life, things will come to mind that you don't even know where they come from. It's part of Scripture. So I'd plead with you to persevere, but also to perhaps look on the internet for a reading schedule. What we say in our church is a psalm a day keeps the devil away. And what we'd normally look at is probably an Old Testament reading, a psalm, and one from the New Testament. And that way, if you kept up that kind of schedule, you're probably looking at around two years, I would imagine, to finish from cover to cover. Also, if you're a new Christian, it might be worth getting a one with a commentary. These are quite thick books and quite intimidating, but actually then you would be able to find out what it actually meant and put it in context. I would really advise you to have a look at the Old Testament as well, because it informs everything in the New Testament. So that's my message for today. If you were thinking of reading the Bible from cover to cover, please do. You will get amazing results in your life. You will see things and put them in context that you'd never done before. And you will read some of the most shocking stories that would blow today's media out of the water. And it's in the Bible. So I hope 2017 will be a productive year for you and your ministry. God bless you all.
And I'm joined now in the studio by Chris Johnson and Phil Lamb to tell me about the continuing success of Blokes United, a relatively new group that aims to tackle the growing problem of men suffering from mental health issues across Hull and the East Riding. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming in. Hugh interviewed you back in September on this very surfer here on Estuary News. Tell me how things have progressed since your last appearance here.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal success really, and we've been blown away, haven't we, by the amount of men who have engaged in the project, and also the amount of organisations who have got on board and come on the journey with us really. So yeah, you know, the project's growing. We're getting more support groups. We've linked in with the 2 professional rugby league clubs in the city who are now delivering touch rugby. We've got Yorkshire Cricket on board who are going to be delivering cricket in the summer, and we've also been able to create 2 new support groups, which means in our part of the region we've got 4 support groups for men to access.
So Phil, relatively fantastic achievements in such a short space of time. Why was the group initially set up and founded?
Initially, it was a chat. It was for blokes to come and chat, like we've said over and over again. Women tend to be able to sit in groups, you know, and talk things through, where us men don't. We bottle things up, and so it was a case of starting a chat group where blokes could come through the door if they would come through the door. And we was blessed that 5 or 6 came through the door in Hornsey. And it's more or less spiralled upwards.
Quite
an
organic process, because like you say, you've had a few members in the early days, and back at one of the sessions I came to, it flourished to about
14,
20,
14 at that one, yeah.
Colossal numbers.
And about 5 faces that were missing through Christmas commitments.
Of course. Gentlemen, how prevalent is mental health in men in our region?
It is, and in our region we have a higher rate of suicide than the national average, so it's something that's extremely prevalent, and I think there's a lot of it which is hidden behind closed doors, and what we're aiming to with Blokes United is to bring that out and make men feel comfortable and create an environment where they feel that they can come talk openly, but also, you know, it's a happy group, isn't it? It's not a sad place what we create.
Yeah. And a good platform for the men to express their feelings and talk about what they want to talk about, and like you say, Chris, in a happy, relaxed environment. Gentlemen, we'll leave it there for now, but we'll continue our chat in part 2, so please stay with us. More on Blokes United. So join me after the break when Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action and more from Phil and Chris, the Blokes United team. Welcome back, you're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action and more from the Blokes United team on tackling mental health across the Humber. More than 8,000 calls were taken over the Christmas and New Year period from vulnerable residents across the East Riding. Between Christmas Eve and the 2nd of January, staff at East Riding Council's Lifeline Control Centre in Driffield dealt with a total of 8,296 incoming and outgoing calls. 86 of those calls required the emergency services and 221 needed a Lifeline community responder to attend. 98% of the incoming calls were answered within 1 minute. The Lifeline service provides around-the-clock support to thousands of vulnerable residents living in the East Riding 24 hours a day, all year round. Parents and carers in Hull have until next Monday to apply for a full-time primary school place for their child, starting school in September. Those with a child born between the 1st of September 2012 and 31st of August 2013 can apply online for up to 3 schools via Hull City Council's website or the paper application form. Last year, the council received 3,665 applications and 95% of children were allocated to their preferred schools. Applications can be made via the council's website, hullcc.gov.uk. A series of recruitment evenings are scheduled to take place for young people with a taste of adventure. To find out more about the Duke of Edinburgh Award programme, East Riding Council's Youth and Family Support Service will be visiting schools and academies across the county throughout February to encourage young people to take part in the award scheme. The award is a flexible programme of cultural and adventurous activities for people aged between 14 and 25 and is nationally and internationally recognised that participants have achieved something with their lives that makes them stand out from the crowd. Details on the recruitment evenings can be found via the council's website. And still with me in the studio, Chris Johnson and Phil Lamb from Blokes United on how their group is tackling mental health in men in Hull and the East Riding. Gentlemen, how many members would you say roughly are on board with this fantastic project today now?
Across all of the groups, I would say best part of about 50 odd, maybe 80 at a push. With regards to the chat groups, the football, because we don't just have the same people coming in all the time for the football. Some weeks we could have 32 lads coming for the five-a-side, but it isn't the same 32. So,
okay. So a different mix of attendees every session. And Chris, I believe it's in Hull and also in Hornsey where you hold these sessions, isn't it? So people across Hull and East Riding can, can come and take part.
Yeah, that's right. We hold the support groups across Hull and Hornsey, and we have the sports sessions mainly in Hull. But what we like to do is develop this group, Blokes United, and take it around the country. And our ultimate dream is to have a Blokes United session group in every city, town in the country.
Raising that profile of how important mental health
We'd love to come here
is.
to Grimsby and Scunthorpe, like with Estuary TV is seen by many,
Yes,
wrongly.
That's correct.
That it's the South Bank thing, although we get it in the north. And so it'd be great to actually bridge the gap, especially in this city of culture, when it's not just meant to be about all, it's the big thing. So it'd be great to come across and hopefully open with Grimsby Town or Scunthorpe United.
And just spreading that word and that message further, Chris. Tell me a little bit about the website, because that's also quite an integral part of what you do as well, isn't it? That's
right, and it's run by our friend Mal Pearson, who spends a lot of time looking after that. www.blokesunited.co.uk. On there is a wealth of information about the groups we hold, but not only about the groups. There's information about depression, about conditions, and it's a real good go-to point for if men are making the first step into tackling the issues.
Because Mel sent me a quote which I'm sure you guys agree with, and Mel says here, please mention the Blokes United website. It's our window to the world. It's the first tangible step someone alone can take without taking any risks, hopefully to be followed by attending a meet. Well, you echo his thoughts and feelings there, don't you?
Like we've said, for men, a lot of times lock themselves away and don't tackle the problem. So this is a great way of getting out there and getting that first bit of information and knowledge about Blokes United. And
gentlemen, what you do as a group of men who meet on a weekly basis, you hold your sessions, as we've identified in Hornsey and Hull. Is this a better way to deal with mental health in your eyes than relying on medical practitioners and service providers out there?
I'd say it was one side of the two sides of a coin.
Sure.
Because there's going to be people out there who do need clinical help.
Right.
And so to say just to come to us would actually be denying them vital medical attention.
Sure.
And also on the other side, where some people say, well, that's too clinical. I do need the clinical, but I'd like something more relaxed. This actually caters for that. So it's one side of the two sides of the same coin.
And on that, we do have a relationship with Mind, a referral system. So they refer people to us, but also if there's people who attend our sessions who we feel we can't help anymore, or they need more advanced care, we'll direct them to Mind and they'll help them.
Any viewers watching our show tonight this resonates with, how can they get involved with the Blokes United group sessions?
Well, there's the group that, the website that Chris has said about. There's also Twitter with Forever tweeting, hashtag Blokes United if you want to find it, and then you'll find our tag at Blokes United. We've got a Facebook group. We've also got a Facebook page there as well.
Wonderful.
So,
gentlemen, I'm afraid to say we must leave it there. You have something for me, but here's Dan now with all the latest news from the world of sport.
Hull City are expected to announce their first January signing today. Everton's Senegalese striker Oumar Niasse is set to join the Tigers on loan until the end of the season, according to reports, and marks new boss Marco Silva's first foray into the transfer market. The 26-year-old is yet to make a Premier League appearance this campaign after finding chances limited under new Toffees boss Ronald Koeman. He only joined Everton during last January's window, where he signed from Lokomotiv Moscow. On the field, City progressed through to the fourth round of the FA Cup in Silva's first game in charge. Josh Tymon scored his first professional goal late on to seal the win after fellow substitute Abel Hernandez opened the scoring.
It's very important for us got this victory, because we need the good results to improve, to win more confidence, and it's very important this result for us. Really tough game for us, but it's important. It's important also we didn't concede goals. It's very important for us also, because I'm happy because I'm happy. Because my players are happy in this moment, because our fans, I saw our fans happy in the final of the game. It's very important for me also.
Next up, the Tigers travel to Old Trafford tomorrow evening for the EFL Cup semi-final first leg. Elsewhere, Harry Toffolo netted his first Scunthorpe United goal in their 3-2 victory at home to Bury. The fullback's loan from Norwich City was extended ahead of Saturday's game, and it took him just 8 minutes to find the net. Stephen Dawson and Josh Morris scored the other goals, in doing so lifting the Iron back into the League One automatic promotion spots. Grimsby Town defender Sean Pearson has been nominated in the EFL Team of the Week following the Mariners' 1-0 win at Hartlepool United. Adi Youssef scored his second goal in as many games since joining from Mansfield to secure the 3 points and move up to 10th in League 2. Pearson was joined in the Team of the Week by the Scunthorpe United captain Stephen Dawson. Meanwhile, Mariners boss Marcus Bignett says the club are currently assessing the loan picture at the club, including the possible extensions of Brandon Comley's loan deal from QPR.
We're in negotiations with our loanees and their parent clubs, and like I said, everything will unveil and become clearer once their dates or times come, and you'll see whether we've extended or we haven't.
North Ferriby United manager Steve Howsham says he'll assess the fitness of defender Ben Middleton today after he took a knock in Saturday's loss to Dagenham and Redbridge. The Villagers boss says he played through pain to complete the 4-0 home defeat, but is unsure of his fitness moving towards next Saturday's clash with Wrexham. On to rugby, and the Derby Day spoils went to Hull Kingston Rovers as they beat a young black and white side by 40 points to 16. Albert Kelly scored a sensational first half try on his FC debut against his former club, which featured assistant coach David Hodgson. New boy Adam Quinlan also featured for the Robins alongside FC loanee Jordan Abdul. And finally, for now, the Hull Pirates are preparing for their EPL Cup semi-final, which is on Thursday evening. They host the Milton Keynes Lightning in the first leg at the Hull Arena, where face-off is at 7:30. And that's all from the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan. That's just about it for tonight. While Dan was reading the sport, the Blokes United team have given me a very nice present, which I will treasure. The Blokes United football shirt, which all their members wear with pride at the football session and the weekly meetings. If you have a news story, then please get in touch with us in the usual ways. Details are on the screen now. Phone our news desk at Grimsby number 01472315553, or put pen to paper and write to us at the usual address. We'll see you same time tomorrow when I'll be joined by Ryan Potts and Vans Braddock Mead. Until then, from all of us on the team, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Hello there and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Tuesday cloudy across the Pennines with showers or outbreaks of rain, otherwise mainly dry with sunny spells, before becoming cloudy through the afternoon with some light rain or drizzle, arriving maximum temperatures of 9 degrees Celsius. Wednesday becoming increasingly cold with scattered snow showers down to low levels, very windy with local gales. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. In the headlines tonight, a local hospital cancels scheduled operations, a new football hub for Hull thanks to a cash injection, and bringing music and smiles to toddlers in Grimsby. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be in sweet harmony with Ryan Potts. Before that, I'll be teetotal with Vans Braddock Mead. Hello, good evening, welcome to Tuesday's programme with me, Luke Adams. First, tonight's planned operations at Hull Rhine Infirmary have been cancelled due to a shortage of beds. The Hull and East Yorkshire Hospitals NHS Trust has seen an unprecedented volume of patients attending the A&E department in the last week. Hospital managers are now urging people not to use A&E unless it's a genuine emergency, and is appealing to the public to use local minor injury units or visit their GP. A spokesperson for the Trust said the decision to postpone any operation or clinic is not one the Trust takes lightly, but to ensure those who require more urgent care needs, some routine operations and clinics have been postponed. The University of Hull has been awarded £500,000 to create a new football hub. The money from the Premier League and the FA Facilities Fund is part of a £15 million investment in the university's sports facilities, which are currently underway. Part of the investment will see a £1.8 million footballing facility being created with the aim of creating a football hub for the university, as well as the City of Hull and the East Riding. It will include a new changing room pavilion and a 3G artificial grass pitch. It will be built on the pitches off Inglemire Lane to the north of the campus. A Bridlington man will appear in court next month. 26-year-old Christopher Hurst of Trinity Avenue is charged with racially abusing a police officer in the town. He's charged with 2 counts of causing threatening or abusive words and behaviour towards PC Michael Amadula, and 1 of racially or religiously aggravated harassment towards him. He will appear before Beverley Magistrates Court on the 15th of February. People across Hull are invited to have their say on new council ward boundaries. The Independent Local Government Boundary Commission proposed that the city should have 57 councillors in the future, 2 fewer than the current arrangements. The 8-week consultation started today and is open to anyone who wants to have their say on new council wards, ward boundaries and ward names across Hull. The consultation will run until the 6th of March. The outgoing Chief Executive of the Deep says he hopes Hull 2017 will help the outside world appreciate how prestigious the city's Summarium is. Colin Brown has been running the charity since it launched back in 2002, and he's hoping that it will benefit from the 1 million extra visitors expected into the city this year. He wants more people to understand the conservation work that they carry out.
We've put £100,000 in of our money actually into City of Culture to try and support it, most of the cultural events will be taking place perhaps in the evening primarily, ourselves and the museums are the big attractions in the daytime, so certainly we would hope to benefit.
A local woman is bringing classic nursery rhymes into the local area. Sarah Jane Woolster is bringing music and rhymes for toddlers and their parents to enjoy at the Scartho Community Library. Adults can bring their toddlers along to either Baby Rhyme Time on Mondays or Wriggly Jiggly Time on Fridays. The fun-filled sessions are designed to bring the Scartho community together whilst providing families with activities for their toddlers to join in with.
Well, really, it started off as a group of people coming into the Scartho Library and asking whether or not there's something for parents and toddlers to come to. And at that time, there wasn't anything in place. And luckily for me, I know Lynn, who works and runs the Scartho Library. She contacted me as I work with her and said, would you like to come in and do some baby classes? And I thought, well, I'd need to think really about what babies would enjoy to do in a class, and what the parents would also like to come and attend. And I thought 2 of the best things that I really enjoy doing with Reuben is the reading that I do with him and the dancing and the singing that I do with him. And we do an awful lot of it. Old school nursery rhymes and up on your feet, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, that kind of thing. And that old school, going back in time almost, it's still got so much worth to it. And watching Reuben enjoy, and that's what I hope to do with all the other children. I want them to participate and enjoy it very much so. And it's another good excuse to get out of the house with the mums and, all family together. So, I think overall the classes are just about having good old-fashioned fun. On a adult level, I think it's really important to get out and about and not to be confined to your house with your child, but at the same time, you don't just want to be going out to do any old crazy thing. You want to do something with a bit of sustenance for the person involved as well. So on a community level, I think it'll be great for the parents to be able to have something to outreach so close by. This is a great little centre. And then for the children as well, the socialisation aspect, the growing and the learning aspect from them. And also that hour of a day that the parents can get together, maybe have a cup of tea and a chit-chat, an adult conversation rather than just the baby one, which I have to participate in a lot nowadays. We've got a Monday class, it's 12 till 1, and that's baby rhyme time, and that's about stories, rhyming, maybe having a little bit of an understanding about the moral of the stories as well, depending upon the children. It all depends on the children. And then on the Tuesday, we have got 12:45 for an hour till 1:45. And that's Baby Wiggle Jiggle, and that's very much on your feet, musical instruments, banging a tambourine, making a racket, and just enjoying yourself to, again, it'll be to music, it'll be to old-fashioned nursery rhymes. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, them ones. But it's like, Mum's crazy, she does this all the time. But yeah, that's 12:45 to 1:45, and again, it'll be here, and you just pop along. You don't have to book or anything, just pop along.
With Friday the 13th fast approaching, we've been hearing about some of our area's deep-rooted superstitions. Here's renowned historian Dr. Alec Gill, MBE no less, with a couple of examples.
I find superstitions stronger than ever. Like, for example, in Hull, we've got the Hull Royal Infirmary, a massive building, wonderful, and but there are 13 stories high, and you go in it, maybe from on the lift, from ward 4 to 12, and then it stops. And the next one, which is the children's ward, it used to be, is 130, east and west. So that's one superstition. You go on Victoria Dock, modern housing estate, hundreds of streets, not one number 13. And I asked the developers about this. Oh, no, it's not us, it's the residents. You ask the residents, no, it's not us, we didn't have a choice, And then also on fishing boats, you get H number and GY number and this sort of thing, and say it added up like 283 to number 13. Some crewmen thought, oh goodness, I'm not going to sail on a ship with a number 13 on, sort of thing, So it's still alive and kicking in modern age of science.
And if you want to learn more about superstitions, Dr. Gill will be delivering a talk tomorrow night at Cardoma 94 in Hull at 7 p.m. Dry January aims to help people put the excesses of the festive period behind them and start the new year with a fresh, healthy approach. I'm joined now by Vans Braddock-Mead, practice lead at Grimsby's Foundations, to tell me how people can ditch the drink. Vans, thank you very much for coming. Without a pint, I see.
Without a pint, yes, thank you.
Tell me about Dry January.
It was an initiative that was started in 2013.
Okay.
A young lady was an athlete, and she decided that after the Christmas excesses, she needed to give herself the best start to get back into fitness. So she ditched booze, basically, thinking this would be a good way to go. It was. She lost some weight. She felt really good about this. It was picked up on by a few other people. She ended up working for the Dry January guys, the alcohol concern. And she launched it in 2013, and since then the uptake on it has just grown and grown and grown and grown, and now it is synonymous with January that people give up
for 31 days.
For 31 days.
So how important is this campaign then, Vans?
It's changing the way people talk about alcohol. It's changing the way that we look at it within our society.
Sure. Yeah.
We celebrate everything with alcohol. We look at birthdays, at funerals, football matches,
new job,
everything. Everything's celebrated with alcohol.
A reason to drink.
Exactly, and at Christmas, perhaps more than any other time. So to give yourself a bit of a break from it, a bit of a breather from it, to look at the effects of how positive it can be to not have alcohol in your life as a constant. The effects that it can save you pounds in your pocket, it can save you pounds on your waistline, and you don't always need to have it. It's for that social aspect. There's other things you can do.
And also helping people put money towards charity, because I'm assuming people do the Dry January Challenge as a way of helping raise money for charity.
There is a charitable concern.
Overall.
Yeah, there is. Some of the major health negatives around it are cancer, is there, liver damage, liver failure, hepatitis, those sorts of things around alcohol that can really affect people's lives and families.
Sure.
And some people do choose to raise money by getting sponsored by people they work with to stop drinking for 31 days. Some people find it really easy. and some people find it not so easy.
Yes, 9 days in and I'm struggling myself, but we'll brush over that, Vance.
Yeah.
Tell me about foundations briefly.
Okay.
The vital service, what you run in Grimsby.
Yeah, we're the North East Lincolnshire Drug and Alcohol Service.
Okay.
We're based on Queen Street in Grimsby, and we work with anybody that has issues with drugs or alcohol. And that's not just drugs that people would stereotype, heroin or cocaine. That's people that might have an issue with prescription medication. It's not full-on addiction or things, but it's people that have got concerns or issues that they want to get some support around. They're not quite sure where to go. We'd advise people to come in and see us and you know, speak to one of our guys, and we can help you as best we can.
Okay. Top tip for people curbing alcohol?
Okay.
Difficult one to answer.
It is a difficult one to answer. I think if you've got events coming up, look for support from your friends, explain to them that you're doing it for charity, try and get them on board. Everybody will try and put you off and try and trip you up because people think it's fun to do so.
Absolutely.
If you're drinking at home with friends, have a fake cocktail night, try and make things interesting.
Fake cocktail, and we'll try our hardest. Fans, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having
Join
me.
me after the break when Dan will bring us around for all the latest from the world of sport. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, all the latest sports news from Dan, and Ryan Potts tells me about his forthcoming piece of work. An Ashby-based health unit is working in partnership with Humberside Police to give an insight into its mental health services. The initiative at Great Oaks on Ashby High Street sees police officers spending a shift at the unit, which provides adult inpatient care to adults and is run by RDash. Modern matron Jo Lloyd said the initiative is an excellent example of inter-agency working, and the feedback from everyone involved is they found it extremely beneficial. A series of pedestrian crossing upgrades are now taking place across North East Lincolnshire. North East Lincolnshire Council is working in partnership with NG to deliver the improvement works. They are expected to take 4 weeks and will see existing curbs and footways replaced with lower curbs and a concrete surface to aid the visually impaired and wheelchair or mobility scooter users when crossing the road. The works will be taking place in Grimsby, Cleethorpes and Healing. A new pilot scheme has been launched in Beverley, encouraging people to get fit. The Dance Fit sessions combine different styles of dance, Pilates and aerobic exercises to create an effective Keep Fit regime for people of every age and fitness level. The 10-week scheme launches on the 24th of January at St Mary's Church Parish Hall, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Sessions cost £3.50 per week or £30 for 10 weeks. Grimsby Hospital is set to get star treatment later this week. The Eat Well restaurant opened late last year, but it's now getting an official opening with a well-known star of the culinary world by Great British Bake Off winner Nancy Birtwistle. The changes have seen a new food court-style dining area as part of a new deal with retail catering specialist Elior. She will officially open the new eatery on Friday morning. And I'm joined now in the studio by my second guest this afternoon, songwriter Ryan Potts, to tell me about his latest body of work, musical knowledge and musical notes. Ryan, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Tell me about your Love of Music Festival and where it comes from.
Okay, well, I started playing guitar when I was 12, and I learned, you know, all the classics, all the Black Sabbaths and all that kind of thing. And then I started writing music when I was like 13, and it's just sort of elevated from there, and I've just gone into this deeper, kind of darker.
Fantastic. So you've had a lot of interest and been writing music since you were 13 years
Yeah.
old. Ryan, how old are you now?
I'm 21 now.
Okay, so you've got quite a big body of work there.
Yeah.
In that time frame. You look very mature for your age. Tell me where your inspiration for music comes from.
Well, a lot of it's about trying to get a feeling across.
Sure.
I think that's my main aim with music. I want to make people feel things. I want not to be sort of like a voice or anything, but to be like, I want people to listen to it and go, yeah, I understand that, I felt that way before, and that kind of thing.
So people can relate to your music and feel something perhaps with themselves. Now, your alias is Paragraphs, I believe, is that correct? Yeah. So what kind of work have you done previously?
Well, I've done a lot of experimental stuff with dark ambient and a lot of noise music and shoegaze and drum and bass, and I sort of take a little bit from everything.
Sure.
But my new album it's my first kind of real attempt to try and amalgamate all these different styles into one, hopefully cohesive kind of sound.
Because a fantastic quote on your Facebook account, Ryan, which I must read out here. Music by a man, which is yourself, who can't stick to a genre for more than one album.
Yeah, I get bored very easily.
Do you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what kind of genres would you say music you've produced in the past and hope to produce in the future?
Well, I've had my dark ambient album. I've got an IDM album, which is a sort of lesser known kind of drum and bass offshoot,
Sure.
I guess. I've done folk albums. I'm in a folk duet at the minute, as well as dark ambient and all my shoegazy stuff as well.
Because folk's quite an underrepresented genre in the musical world, isn't it?
I don't know, it depends, because I think there's folk elements in a lot of music. There's a lot of sort of acoustic singer-songwriters, and I think it's kind of everywhere at the minute, because it's just really fun to do. It's not really hard work in the sense that you don't have to sort of really sit for ages and sort of gruel on it or anything like that. You can just sort of pick up a guitar, play some chords and say what you feel and that kind of thing.
And from the heart.
Yeah.
Your latest piece of work, tell me a little bit about that, title of the track and what's the message it's trying to get out there to people?
Well, the album's called I Went Outside, I Could Hear the Houses Breathing, They Were Alive, and it's a concept album about depression, about suffering from it, about the kind of feeling of hopelessness and all that kind of thing. And I tried to sort of capture the way depression feels and sort of turn that into a sound.
Okay.
So there's a lot of some really long tracks where it just feels like it's not going to end and everything's soaked in reverb and it's really disorienting and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
I've just tried to take depression and turn it into something you can listen to and hopefully understand.
And what people can relate to.
Yeah.
And music, quite an organic process in terms of you as a songwriter and people accessing your music. Is it quite an organic process?
Well, there's a lot of plug-in involved,
Sure.
which I wouldn't say is organic because I just have to sit at a laptop copying and pasting links for hours on end. Okay. But the writing, it's organic.
Okay. Quite therapeutic as well.
Yeah, very.
Ryan, where can people access your fantastic body of work?
Well, I have a Bandcamp account, which the link is youstolемydomain.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
Because paragraphs.bandcamp.com was taken.
Right, okay. And you've also got a YouTube channel as well where your latest piece of music is available.
Yeah, and that's just Paragraphs, the title of the channel.
Okay, so just type in Paragraphs on YouTube and we can access your music.
Yeah.
Plans for the future?
Well, I'm doing a post-rock album next, hopefully, and a noise rock album.
Okay.
So two pretty different.
And that's a whole other genre in itself, Ryan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best with
Thank
the
you.
future, Ryan. Thank you very much indeed for coming in this
Thank you.
afternoon. Now here's Dan with all the latest news from the world of sport.
Hull City make history tonight as they compete in their first ever EFL Cup semi-final. The Tigers were at Old Trafford to take on 4 times winners Manchester United in the first game of their 2-legged tie. New boss Marco Silva has the first selection headache of his tenure, with centre-halves Michael Dawson and Curtis Davis both out and Harry Maguire rated at 50-50. Midfielder Jake Livermore is again expected to deputise in defence for the game, which kicks off at 8 o'clock. Meanwhile, we're still awaiting news on City's possible deal for Everton striker Umar Niasse. The former Lokomotiv Moscow striker is reportedly close to agreeing a loan, with a view to a permanent deal until the end of the season. We'll bring you confirmation as and when we get it. Elsewhere, Scunthorpe United are also in cup action this evening. They visit Oxford United in the third round of the Checkatrade Trophy. Manager Graham Alexander has already confirmed that he'll make changes for the game at the Kassam Stadium, with squad players getting their chance. Alexander says he's also considering giving new signing Craig Davis his first start for the club since he joined the Iron from Wigan until the end of the season. Also at the Iron, midfielder Richie Smallwood has been recalled by parent club Rotherham United. United confirmed in a statement on the club's website that the Millers had a recall clause in his loan. He made just 8 starts for the club. Meanwhile, Scunthorpe have done some recalling of their own. They've taken defender Levi Sutton back early from his loan at North Ferriby United. A fleet of trialists played for Grimsby Town's reserves this afternoon as they beat Rotherham United's equivalent by 4 goals to 3. The According to reports, a trio of Redditch trialists featured, along with Biggleswade striker Ini Effiong, who netted twice. Winger Tom Bolarinwa scored the other of the Mariners' 2 goals, and Sean McAllister made his return from injury as well. On to rugby, Hull FC prop Josh Bowden says he's impressed with some of the side's youngsters. Coach Lee Radford named a host of young players in his side for Sunday's derby defeat to Championship Hull KR, and Bowden says he isn't too concerned with the scoreline. Speaking to the club's official website, he picked out Connor Bauer and Jack Ray for special praise, describing Bauer as smart in defence and Ray as coming on at leaps and bounds. And finally for now, some rugby union scores from the weekend. Hull Ionians lost 38-19 at Moseley, while Hull UFC beat Waterloo 34-8. Elsewhere, Scunthorpe lost 38-0 at Caldy, and Hullensians defeated York by 31 points to 30 in a nail-biting game. Hullensians had the ideal start when prop forward Ryan Barron broke through to cross the whitewash to open the scoring. Chris Smith then scored 2 tries and Josh Langford 1, before an almighty drive from the pack sent Andy Vernon over for the all-important match-winning 5th try.
Thanks very much, Dan. That's it for this Tuesday evening, I'm afraid. As always, if you have a news story, please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv. You can also phone our news desk, which is a Grimsby number 01472315553, or put pen to paper and write to us at the usual address. Thank you very much to viewer Betty of Annalby for my tie, a great addition to my wardrobe. We'll see you same time tomorrow. From all of us on the team, have a great Tuesday evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Watching Estuary News. In the headlines tonight, the future of a seaside library under threat, the future of urgent care services in East Yorkshire, and recycling plastic for the automotive industry. And later in tonight's programme, it's a case of game, set and match with Zoe Conville and Holly Wells. Before that, a roundup of Hull's top 50 greats, courtesy of Tony Nolan. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Wednesday's programme with me, Luke Adams. First tonight, there are fears that Cleethorpes Library could shut down. Under planned proposals, it would see services move to Grimsby, which include public records and the Tourist Information Centre. Cabinet members have been discussing the library's future at a meeting today as part of a report outlining North East Lincolnshire Council's budget, outcomes, framework and commissioning plan for the next 3 years. Residents have described the possible closure as a huge loss to the local community. 6 flood warnings have been put in place for our region tonight. The Environment Agency have issued a red warning, meaning immediate action is required for Hessle foreshore from high tide this evening. Amber warnings have been issued for the estuary between Hessle and Faxfleet, including North Ferriby and Brough, as well as at Withensea, Spurn Point, Easington, Kilnsea, Hornsea and Bridlington. Police are calling on the public to help them catch 2 wanted men believed to be committing a string of burglary offences across Hull and East Yorkshire. 22-year-old Lewis Towell, whose last known address is Cheriton Close in Hull, is wanted for bail offences. Rhys Todd, also 22, was last known to be at Foston Close in Hull, and he's wanted for a commercial burglary in Hornsea. Both men have been wanted for these offences for several weeks, and despite numerous inquiries and arrest attempts, they do remain at large. Demolition work is now underway in Scunthorpe as part of a £3.5 million development for the new Ongo headquarters to be built in the town. The office will be located on the corner of Scunthorpe High Street and Trafford Street to provide workspace for 100 Ongo employees. Demolition work is scheduled to be completed by the end of March. Work on the building, the new office, will start in April and should be finished by March 2018. Next this afternoon, North East Lincolnshire Mayor Christina McGilligan-Fell is set to end her time in office with a charity challenge. It will take in much of the borough's landscape and will take place over the early May Bank holiday weekend. Christina McGilligan-Fell is hoping everyone will embrace the challenge.
Well, it's a huge opportunity to actually go out there into the borough, the whole of North East Lincolnshire, which encompasses all the rural villages that often mayors don't get into, apart from opening possibly the odd fete or two in the summer, and having others become part of it and get involved, whether it's something they deem as whether it's in support for offering some financial support. That would always be good. Whether they want to do something very active and get involved with a bit of cycling, a bit of walking, a bit of jogging, a bit of what they might think and deem to be suitable for their own personal desires. It's for everyone. There is no one, I can't think, that couldn't come on board and get in with it, to enjoy it, have some fun, get to know the mayor. It's the end of my office, really, unfortunately, by that time. But it'll give a good opportunity to be familiar with the role of civic life and what we do and why we do it. And raising funds is a big part, and raising awareness of other people, such as our education establishments, our local businesses, our hospitals, everything really to do with the borough is a part of us all.
Residents across the East Riding have until the 17th of January to have their say on the future of urgent care services across the county. The East Riding Clinical Commissioning Group are proposing a number of changes to such services, including the introduction of urgent care centres that will see a 365-day service, 16 hours a day, to provide a uniform range of advice, treatment and diagnostic. A final drop-in event was held at Brough Library today. The consultation questionnaire can be accessed via the Clinical Commissioning Group's website. Recycling company Luxus Limited have celebrated completing their Recyclite project. Costing €1.4 million, which roughly equates to 1.2 million, the project aims to develop environmentally recycled plastics to be used in the automotive industry. Fred revs up for action.
The automotive industry is under continuing pressure to contribute what they can to tackle environmental issues. Luxus of Louth, a recycling company, have stepped up to the plate to deliver an eco-innovation project called Recyclite. 2.5 years in development, the project aims to deliver a type of plastic to be used in the automotive industry that is lightweight, fuel efficient and saves natural resources.
So we work with the European Union and a consortium of people with Jaguar Land Rover, that everybody knows about, I'm sure. A German company called Coperion. They are experts in extrusion equipment to make the granules of plastic. And ISA are one of the tier 1 or molders of choice for Jaguar Land Rover. So I started in Luxus, so in Lincolnshire, in Louth, and what happened is the team wanted to continue working in the automotive sector. We have already a big market for the automotive, but the important thing was to continue looking forward at all the developments, what the automotive sector wants to have. And they want to have lighter vehicle, for the eco, I would say, constraint and opportunities there are for sustainability. But they wanted to have something which has the good properties of the material, but also something new. And the something new was about the lightweight, but also the scratch performance. Having somebody, a car, when you have children or dogs or partners or everybody wants to have something which looks newer for longer. And so the idea was to try to develop this plastic, which has all this property in one go, and can also use the recycled materials, so it means that it's a benefit for the environment.
Luxus has been in Louth for 52 years now, and we have particular skills in terms of using materials for environmental advantage. They're generally a recycled content which improves the environmental performance of the product, but they're not recycled materials. They're actually using the recycled content for environmental advantage. We're bringing something new to the area, so we are a relatively small company, medium-sized SME, so we're now talking to Jaguar Land Rover. We've got contacts within the EU, and it's about us taking the product global. So one of the requirements is that we can supply it across the globe. We've got a partnership network set up now so that we can produce it in Scandinavia, we can produce it in China and India once the product gets launched completely into the market.
It's about how we're going to implement it. So now we're in the stage when we're able to produce it tomorrow, so we push the button and we can supply it. And basically it's to say that UID has been in the lab, is now into the automotive and is adding the benefit for all the people involved in the automotive sector, but also the customer.
Despite this event acting as a celebration of Recyclat's achievements, the project still has a long-term future ahead, with its overall mission to secure a more environmentally friendly future for the automotive industry. Fred McNamara, Estuary News.
Now, as Hull 2017 gears up, you'll be hearing a lot about the great and good of the city, but there are plenty that may go uncelebrated that you may not know actually hail from Hull. I'm joined now by Tony Nolan to tell me more. I believe, Tony, you've written a book about top 50 greats of the city.
I have.
Why did you decide to write this book?
I think basically I took the inspiration from the time when it was announced that Hull was going to be the 2017 City of Culture. And I wondered what I could do to get involved, really. And I did some research, found out about a lot of people that were born and bred in Hull that I didn't know about, and I thought I had the makings of a good book, really. And it was, I think, partly to put right some of the misconceptions that people like Philip Larkin, John Prescott, the House Martins, that a lot of the national media think are from Hull, but are actually from elsewhere, really.
Because before I started reading your book, I was under the same assumption that Paul Heaton of the House Martins and later the Beautiful South actually hailed from Hull, but he wasn't from Hull, was he?
He's from Sheffield originally, yes. Yeah. But obviously loves Hull and made a big contribution.
Absolutely. And of course the renowned poet Philip Larkin also wasn't from Hull as well.
That's right, yeah.
Who's your particular favourite from this book, Tony?
I enjoyed them all in different ways. But when I launched the book, I had some lovely support from the world judo champion Karen Briggs and the Hull FC legend Johnny Whiteley. And being a big rugby league fan and Hull FC fan, I suppose I have to say Johnny Whiteley, because he was such a gentleman and a wonderful character. So.
And some of the names we might not recognise who have made it to the book, Tony. Who were some of those people?
One that surprised me was a lady called Barbara Buttrick, who was a very small 4'11" lady who welts on to be the world boxing champion, basically. And she had to go to America to do it because of the attitude in England to females fighting.
Yeah.
And she went to America, got a licence, became the world champion, and even in the last fight she was pregnant, but she still won.
So a bit of a trailblazer and
absolutely
a bit of a pioneer in her own field. And there are some names in the book, Tony, who we would expect to see, who we actually know are from Hull, so I'm not going to reveal who made the top 10, the shortlist, but William Wilberforce obviously is in there, and Amy Johnson. And Lil Balocca, the trailblazer for the fishing industry.
Yeah, health and safety campaigner, which she changed such a lot in that industry.
The way.
But in the end, it did her no good. She was sort of blacklisted from the industry as well.
That's right, because that was back in 1968, I think, the
late 60s,
Triple Trawler tragedy, wasn't it? Are there any plans to do another book? Could we unveil another top 50?
You potentially certainly could. When I did the original list, there was well over 100 people on my list. But I think it may be nice to sort of 20 years' time to sort of revisit the list and include people, you know, that may be inspired by the City of Culture, that have come on and done certain things.
Tony, thank you very much for coming in. This is the book, which obviously people can purchase. Where can they get it from?
If you live locally in Hull, it's in the main sort of the bookstores in Hull and Beverley and Cottingham, in Hessel. But if you want to contact me by email, it's hullbornandbred@yahoo.com.
Lovely. Tony, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Join me after the break when Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Zoe Conville and Holly Wells. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be joined by Holly Wells and Zoe Conville, who'll be telling me about a sports challenge in Lincolnshire. A Hull man who illegally dumped rubbish at 2 sites in East Yorkshire has been charged. Brian Smith of Wilmington Caravan site on Bedford Street in the city has been ordered to carry out 160 hours of unpaid work and to pay the cost of the clean-up totalling over £1,000. Smith pleaded guilty to 2 offences of illegally depositing waste on land in Heddon and Preston without permission when he appeared before Hull Magistrates Court last week. He'd been paid by a Hull woman to take away waste from her home, which was later found fly-tipped at those 2 locations. A joint investigation by East Yorkshire Council officers traced the rubbish back to her. She failed to check whether Smith was a registered waste carrier. Young hopefuls standing to become the next member and deputy member of the UK's Youth Parliament for North East Lincolnshire have now been announced. The candidates will now have until the end of this month to campaign on issues they feel passionately about to convince local young people to vote for them. A presentation will be held tomorrow night at Grimsby Town Hall, where the candidates will speak about what they would do to improve key issues for young people across the county. People who need a new or replacement bus pass in North East Lincolnshire can now pick them up from Age UK in Cleethorpes. Grimsby's Centre 4 was awarded the contract to issue new and replacement bus passes on behalf of the council last May. Centre 4 is now working in partnership with Age UK to issue passes eligible to people across the county. The Lincolnshire Sports Challenge aims to get more workplaces more active more often. Spanned over 8 weeks, it's a simple initiative that challenges people to make small changes to their working day. Zoe Conville and Holly Wells join me now to tell me how people can get active. Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you very much for coming in. Are you active and healthy? My first question.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. Maybe could be a little bit more so, but.
So you're inspiring local businesses across Lincolnshire to have a little bit of fitness and physical activity as part of their working day. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So the programme's called Workout as an overall, and that workout programme is starting off with an 8-week challenge, and then we have lots of events that run through the year which businesses can enter, more like tournaments. But for the first 8 weeks, it's all about in-office activity and what you can do during the working day. So that's as simple as going for a walk on your lunch, like what we try to do most days, try to practice what we preach, or maybe playing a bit of table tennis on a break. You know, all small things that you can do in office during the working day.
Okay. So what are some of those little things? Like you said, you go for a little walk in the office, but simple things maybe like playing a game of table tennis, or does playing a game of pool count?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're up and away from your desk, that's kind of what we want everyone to do. We know people are time's quite a precious commodity these days. So if you can get something in your lunch break, even if it's using things around your office, even if you're scrunching up paper and throwing it into a bin, for example, like a paper toss sort of game, anything, you know, the ideas can come from you. We've got a pack that we can send out. It's sort of ideas, but we want everyone else to expand on that.
So collaborative and creative ideas.
Yeah.
How the challenge started on Monday, didn't it? So the 8-week challenge is now
Monday.
in its full throes and its full swing, running until the 3rd of March?
Yeah, the 8 weeks finishes on Friday the 3rd of March.
Okay. So, sweethearts, how receptive have people been to the challenge so far?
Oh, we've had good reception so far, haven't we? We've had over 40 businesses take the pack and get themselves started. Today's the first day we've had results in for Walking Wednesday, where people tell us what they've been doing every Wednesday that week leading up. and we've had over quite a few responses on that one. One company in particular have managed to rank up over 150 walks between them. Quite a large company.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. It only started on Mondays.
So they're really getting into swing of things.
And I suppose the more people do it in a business, the more people will perhaps engage and spread that
definitely.
the benefits.
It's doing it as a team and keeping each other motivated, because quite often when you're trying to do a little bit of fitness on your own, you can often just fall off the track a bit, but when you're doing it as a big team and a workforce together, it kind of keeps you going a bit more.
Now give me some words of advice here and a bit of encouragement. Do you have to be fit and physically active to take on board this challenge? Because unfortunately I am not.
Definitely not. It's more about fun. So if you like walking, for example, a lot of people don't think walking is a sport. They don't think about going for a walk at lunchtime as being active, but it is. Things like we've got the table tennis sets. We used them the other day at lunchtime, and lunch went so quickly because we were all just messing around with these bats. It was just a silly little sort of tournament we sort out ourselves. But yeah, it's just little things like that, really.
Yeah, and even like going for the walks, it's quite nice just to have a chat with people, like out
definitely.
of work. Even if it's only on your lunch, it's quite nice just to chat about other things other than work related and get a bit of a break.
And like we said a couple of minutes ago, just to take time away from your desk, because I think we're in a different working culture now, aren't we? We do spend a lot of time chained to our desk and maybe don't realise how important it is just to take maybe, like you say, 5-10 minutes away from the computer.
Definitely, like I'm guilty of it. We stay at the desk far too long, and it's just trying to encourage people. Even if you need to go for a meeting, if I have a meeting with you, sometimes we'll go for a walk-in meeting instead, just so we're not constantly sat down and at the desk.
Now, after the 8-week challenge, what is the next phase for people?
So we've got different tournaments. We've got rounders. We've got cycling, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
They sort of span from March basically all the way through to December, and anyone can join in. It's £5 per team, and you can basically enter as many as you like, and it's sort of that's a business to business sort of tournament then. So it's who can be the victors, for example, of the rounders tournament, that sort of thing.
So yeah, branching a bit more out of the office and challenging other offices to
and
get
of course
involved.
by March it's spring, so we might have some nice spring.
Hopefully
sunshine.
good weather.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Crucially, ladies, tell me how people can sign up to take part in this initiative, because it obviously just started early days, so how can people sign up?
Yeah, all the information is on our website, so that's www.lincolnshiresport.com. Breakdown of all the activities and programmes on there. You can email me at holly.wells or Zoe, which is zoe.conville@lincolnshiresport.com, and we can send these packs and all the information out to you.
Or get in contact via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @linksport, on there all the time. So yeah, just send us your photos or how you're getting on. We'd love to know.
And make it fun.
Yeah, definitely. The more creative, the better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe I should spur my Estuary TV colleagues on to help me take on this challenge. Ladies, I wish you all the best with the 8-week challenge. I will may see you again later in the year. Thank you very much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now here's Dan with all the latest news from the world of sports.
Hull City face an uphill task in their pursuit of a first EFL Cup final. A spirited display saw them lose 2-0 in the first leg at Old Trafford yesterday, with Juan Mata and substitute Marwan Fellaini scoring the goals. Further trouble for the Tigers takes the form of an ever-growing injury list. Midfielder Marcus Henriksen, who only signed for the club permanently last week, left the field in the first half with a damaged shoulder, and 17-year-old fullback Josh Tyman was taken off with an ankle knock. We'll bring you an update on the pair as and when we have it. Elsewhere, Scunthorpe United crashed out of the Checkatrade Trophy at the third round stage. They were hammered 4-1 by Oxford United. Graham Alexander made a raft of changes as he looked to rotate his squad, but said the performance wasn't at the bar that's been set by his players over the course of the season. Defender Scott Wiseman had to be withdrawn midway through the second period. Following the game, Alexander said he had sustained a hamstring injury. Grimsby Town midfielder Sean McAllister should be in contention to feature in their next senior game. That's after he came through a reserve outing yesterday. Manager Marcus Bignett says he hopes the former Scunthorpe midfielder has no reaction after having some much-needed minutes in the 4-3 win at Rotherham. Meanwhile, the Mariners boss says he was impressed by the 5 trialists on show yesterday, and he says that he wants to have a further look at the quintet. Biggleswade United striker Ini Effiong, Redditch United defenders Jordan Brown, Jordan Cullinane Lyburn and Jai Dillon, plus Swiss midfielder Luis Miguel de Souza were all handed run-outs. North Ferriby United says they're incredibly disappointed to lose defender Levi Sutton after he was recalled by his parent club, Scunthorpe United. He'd made 6 appearances during his stay at the Eon Visual Media Stadium, which he started at the end of November. And on to rugby, Hull FC head coach Lee Radford is calling on the fans to make the KCOM Stadium a fortress this season. He says he wants the home of the Black and Whites to match up to the likes of Leeds and Castleford for atmosphere, with nearly 8,000 fans already signed up to their membership scheme. And talking of support, new Hull Kingston Rovers player Adam Quinlan has described his new team's fans as unreal. The 24-year-old Australian was reacting to the support given during their derby win over FC last weekend. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan. That's it for tonight. As always, if you have a news story, please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details on the screen now, or email our news desk, which is a Grimsby number 01472 31553. You can also put pen to paper and write to us at the usual address. Thank you very much to my guests for taking part in today's show. Tony Loner's book is now available from all good booksellers. Hugh will be back with you same time tomorrow. Until then, from all of us on the team, have a great Wednesday evening. Stay fit.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, a rare 14th century work of art heralds a new chapter for Hull's Ferrens Gallery. A spate of antisocial behaviour in Cleethorpes and groundbreaking work commences in Stallingborough for a new training facility. And later in tonight's programme, we start our weekly roundup of things that are happening in Hull for 2017 with Luke. And before that, I'm joined by Dr. Vandana Jain telling me about a new eating disorder service in Scunthorpe. Former England football manager Graham Taylor has died at the age of 72. He grew up in Scunthorpe and played for Grimsby Town between 1962 and 1968. A family statement said he died at his home early this morning of a suspected heart attack. Severe flood warnings have been issued by the Environment Agency for the East Coast and the Humber Estuary. A large tidal surge is expected down the East Coast tomorrow morning, which will lead to unusually high waters along the south bank of the Humber. High tides and strong winds are likely to cause waves overtopping the flood defences and wind-blown spray, causing floods especially likely on the A1077 road at South Ferriby. Parts of the A1077 are now closed with temporary flood defences in place. Spurn Point is also closed. The Army arrived in Skegness earlier this afternoon to offer any assistance required. Hull's Ferenz Art Gallery will reopen tomorrow following a £5.1 million refurbishment. A 14th century work by Pietro Lorenzetti is one of the standout masterpieces on display. Matt Hancock MP explains how the gallery's reopening will help to rejuvenate the city during 2017.
Well, I think people are taking a second look. People are taking a fresh look. I think this is exactly what City of Culture is all about. It's about the rejuvenation of a city. It's about using art and culture to lift a place, to both so that people, residents, people who live there, take a fresh look, and so that the world takes a fresh look. And I think some people who don't know Hull have been surprised by just what's here. I mean, I came loads growing up, and it's brilliant to see it just in such great form.
A 56-year-old woman has been robbed in Grimsby. The incident happened at 12:40 a.m. yesterday when the victim was approached by an unknown man on Pyewipe Road. He asked to borrow a lighter. The woman handed over the lighter, but as he returned it, he stole the woman's purse from her pocket. He then punched her, knocking her to the ground before running off with the purse. The victim sustained a minor head injury. Groundbreaking work has commenced on a £3.9 million expansion of the training facilities at the HCF Catch site in Stallingborough. The expansion creates a 1,430 square metre workshop which will be constructed within the existing Catch site to meet the growing demand for training from the energy, chemicals and engineering sectors. The new facility will increase provision for apprenticeships, helping local people to find careers in these and other sectors. The project is supported by a £1.75 million government grant via the Humber Local Enterprise Partnership. The Mayor of North East Lincolnshire is encouraging local communities to come together for a charity challenge. Her time in office is drawing to a close, and in celebration of the North East Lincolnshire community, she's putting together a charity challenge which will involve her travelling on a rickshaw across various towns across the borough. Christina McGilligan-Fell tells us about the challenge.
As a mayor, it's a civic office. We are there for the benefit of others, and really it's what do you want of your mayor, and how can we actually give something back, and that's always important, and along the way raise some funds. So we've got the Diabetes Fund, which is hugely important, raising awareness of diabetes, particularly type 2. We can prevent that through good education, awareness of diet, getting out there and doing some exercise, or even in your home and doing some exercise. There are, again, no restrictions, no limitations, and often just taking away that stigma that's associated with this condition. Type 1's a bit different. There's not a lot we can do to prevent that. I myself have a son who's type 1, so I live very closely with diabetes within the structure of my own family. But it's making the awareness that how we can help each other by being there, supporting each other, and actually being an understanding that it can affect us all at any time. There's no discriminations with diabetes.
Hull's City of Culture celebrations have now been bottled thanks to a new range of wines. The 4 products will raise funds for charity. Luke Adams went along to raise a glass.
A local wine merchant has produced an exclusive range of wines, all in aid of Hull 2017 and to raise vital funds for local charities. I'm joined now by Stuart Shenton to tell me more about this product range.
Well, this is an exclusive range of wines that we've launched for the City of Culture. They're called viticulture, a wine term that we thought would kind of tie everything in together. There are going to be 4 wines in the series. At the moment, we have the 3 table wines. So there's a Sauvignon Blanc, a lovely light, crisp, fresh white, a fantastic full-bodied Shiraz, really smooth, really juicy, and a nice, light, soft rosé. There also is a Prosecco, which is, as we speak, on the water, due with us next week. So we'll have a range of 4 that will be available throughout 2017.
How will the charities benefit from the sale of these wines?
The pound for every bottle will go to the legacy charity for the Charities for Hull 2017. So when the event finishes and we get to the 1st of January 2018, ultimately what we want is to be able to support the ongoing work that the City of Culture team are doing this year, so that ultimately we see it for 1 year and we see the benefit of it, but that over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, the money that we donate this year will go towards all the projects that the City of Culture put on to make sure that it isn't just a one-off, that it's something that the whole area benefits from years to come.
As UK City of Culture went off with a bang less than 2 weeks ago as the Made in Hull season got underway. Over 340,000 people took to the streets to see some of the city's biggest and most famous landmarks lit up and view the spectacular In With a Bang event. They marked the start of an entire year of events and fundraising for future legacy projects, which makes it all worthwhile.
We looked at it and thought, well, we had something to offer, really, in terms of our, we've offered lots to the sort of local community over that time, and we felt this was a good opportunity to sort of continue that on.
So we're about to sample some wines now, Stuart, and out of the product range, I chose the Grenache Rosé because I'm more of a fan of Rosé than any of the others. So could you tell me a little bit about this wine?
Yeah, it's a really lovely kind of soft, fruity rosé. Grenache gives a lovely kind of rich sort of raspberry, strawberry sort of flavour. You should get lots of kind of light fruit in the mouth. It should be really, really soft, really easy to drink. It kind of conjures more of a sort of summery day, really, I think.
It's certainly got them berry colours, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a really lovely wine. As I said, what we're trying to do with all of the range is to keep them simple, make them approachable, so that people can enjoy them, without food, just something that they can have. Long day at work, you want to have a nice bottle of wine, you can have one of these. And I think every time you buy one, £1 is going to the Legacy charity.
Why not celebrate the rest of Hull 2017? The last couple of weeks have already proved to be a vintage success. Salute.
Yeah, tough work, Luke. He'll be joining me on the sofa a little later in tonight's programme with a roundup of what else is happening in the City of Culture. A new community eating disorder service has been launched in Scunthorpe thanks to an extra £500,000 from Children's Services in Lincolnshire. I'm joined now by Dr. Vandana Jain to tell me a little bit more about the service. Vandana, thank you very much for coming in. First of all, what is the service called and how can people get in touch with it?
It is called Specialist Eating Disorder Service, which is Rotherham, Doncaster and South Humber. And it's got different staff members. It has been launched only recently, 9th of January 2017.
And if people want to get in touch and they think a member of their family might have an eating disorder or they might have, I think the number is 01724 408 460.
Yeah, and it is the CAMPS team at St. Nicholas House.
At St. Nicholas House. Now, eating disorders, it's a strange frame of mind where you think that your shape of your body is wrong or bad somehow. How do people come to have these disorders?
We don't know exactly what causes this, but there are a lot of factors which can predispose or make young people vulnerable to develop an eating disorder. There is some evidence to suggest it's genetic. So if one of the parents have got a history of eating disorders or depression in the family, their child might be more likely to develop eating disorders. And the genetic studies and the twins studies do suggest that there is a genetic predisposition. Another reason is pressures from the peers, societal pressures, and the drive which the teenage are having towards having certain body image, and all the talks about dieting, healthy eating, exercise, which young people can take it to an extreme, and then it becomes an eating disorder or a problem.
And the insight that you would like to share is that since everybody is differently designed anyway,
yes,
that there is no one shape that everybody should be.
Yes, because we are all born with different weights, birth weight. We all got different shoe sizes. We all got different heights, different hair colors, and so it is normal to have different sizes of clothes and different weights. So the drive to have a certain size clothes is not possible. And if people are trying really hard to fit in a certain size of clothes, that is the start of an eating disorder.
Well, and you're going to be helping as many as, 100 young people who might be suffering
Yes,
from these
the
things.
service is commissioned by the 3 commissioners across Scunthorpe, Doncaster and Rotherham, and we believe that we have got the capacity to see 100 people.
I'll just read out the numbers. 01724 408 460. Vandana, thank you so much for coming in. Join me after the break. Fred will have all the sports news. Luke will be here with all the news from Hull City of Culture. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Fred will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and Luke Adams is back here with me on the sofa to tell us what's happening in the City of Culture. East Riding of Yorkshire CCG Clinical Commissioning Group is looking to recruit 2 people to help shape the future of the NHS. Working with a number of partnerships, including Health Education England for Yorkshire and Humber and Hull University, the successful applicants will join the CCG's Early Clinical Leadership Initiative. It's the first of its kind in the country to offer patients and the public the opportunity to train alongside future health and social care clinicians, making sure patient views are placed firmly at the heart of students' education and empowering students. Anybody interested should contact Catherine.Arnott at nhs.net by the 20th of January. And East Riding Council is looking to recruit new foster carers. An information evening will be held on the 26th of January at Ticton Grange Hotel near Beverley at 6 p.m, where people will have a chance to talk to fostering social workers, meet foster carers and hear from looked after people about their experiences. The council is particularly keen to recruit foster carers for children aged 5 to 15. Walking netball sessions will start in Driffield later this month. They're to help women who may be worried about their fitness levels or mobility issues to discover the sport for the first time or rediscover their love of the game. The new weekly sessions start on the 20th of January at East Riding Leisure in Driffield and will take place every Friday afternoon from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30. The first 6 weeks will be free of charge for the first for all those taking part, with further sessions costing £2.50. And I'm joined now by my colleague Luke Adams to tell me all about what's happening in Hull City of Culture 2017. Luke, first of all, your shoes are magnificent.
Thank you very much, Jude. I need to approve shoe because I know you particularly like my shoe collection. So especially for you. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It never ceases to fascinate me.
Welcome back.
What's going on in Hull?
Well, obviously, Hull City of Culture kicked off a couple of weeks ago at the 1st of January. One of the key events so far, which we have reported on Estuary TV, was the Made in Hull event, which 342,000 people turned out for. And feedback from people across the city was, that they've been absolutely fascinated by how spectacular that event was. Like, some of the iconic buildings in the city centre were lit up with iconic images of, like, Amy Johnson, the fishing industry, which was a massive part of Hull, back in the day. And people have been overwhelmed by how significant that first event has been.
And there was, of course, also the firework display, which made all the firework displays in places like Sydney Harbour and on the Thames in London look a little bit like a damp match in comparison.
A force to be reckoned with, Hugh, I think. A force to be reckoned with.
Magnificent pyrotechnics. Did you see it?
Unfortunately, I couldn't get tickets. I did try applying for tickets when they first went on sale, but alas, I wasn't successful.
I think we might have a little bit of video to have a look now. Let's see if we can go to that.
The picture is completely unique in this country. There is no other painting by Pietro Lorenzetti in Britain. He is right there at the very beginning of modern Western painting, really. Around 1300, there's a very extraordinary revolution going on in painting, and Pietro Lorenzetti there, working in Siena, in Florence, in Assisi, where St. Francis came from. That's really where we think of as the origin of modern painting in Europe. So we don't have a Lorenzetti at the National Gallery. There is one here at the Ferens Art Gallery.
Now, hearing that about Renaissance art very early Renaissance art coming into Hull.
Yes, that's from Dr. Gabrielle Finaldi, as we saw there, who was talking about the reopening of the Ferens Art Gallery tomorrow. And one of the standout pieces there, Hugh, at the gallery is a 14th century piece of artwork by Pietro Lorenzetti.
Well pronounced.
Thank you very much.
It sounds delicious.
I have been trying to pronounce that for most of the day. And that's going on display, like I say, at the Ferens Art Gallery. Is one of their stand-up pieces tomorrow, which is opening after 16 months and a £5.2 million refurbishment.
Now, the Ferens has had a very successful recent history. Leonardo and Hockney exhibitions have been going on there. The Ferens City of Cultural Know is becoming a real force to reckon with in the world of the arts.
And Hugh, they're also going to be holding the Turner Prize this year as well. So another key in their crown, and great for City of Culture that this prestigious piece of artwork and the Turner Prize is making its place in Hull, I think.
It's well worth just, I mean, everything at the Ferens is worth going to see, but that 14th century work, the Lorenzetti, is fascinating because that's the beginning of, if I say modern art in the 14th century, it's the beginning of getting away from a lack of perspective and manuscript art. What else is going on? Tell me more.
Okay, from Hollywood to Hollywood.
Nicely done.
Very nicely done. A Bridlington-based artist by the name of Quentin Budworth commissioned a project inviting ordinary members like you and I, Hugh, of the public to recreate and reenact their favourite movie scenes, their favourite movie moments.
Very well.
So the exhibition, the project has come to an end, and all the Hollywood icons will be showcased at the St Mary's Church and Beverley Minster simultaneously on Saturday evening in Beverley, 6 o'clock until 8 p.m.
And this is just random people who pick
absolutely.
Which would be your movie moment, Luke? What would you recreate?
My favourite film, Hugh, Shirley Valentine.
Good Lord,
and
really?
Yes, or Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I'm less surprised by that one.
Maybe that would have been easier to reenact than Shirley Valentine. I was considering taking part myself, but I don't know how that could have been reenacted. But some of the people who've taken part in this have recreated scenes from Cabaret, Sally Bowles.
Of course.
Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Andy Train, obviously based in Hull. He's recreated the character of Elf, which is his favourite Christmas film.
I would have taken Ingrid Bergman to the airport and recreated the last scene of Casablanca, I think.
Fantastic. Or a bit of James Bond, perhaps, here?
I'm not even going to try to do the Sean Connery accent. Now, we have a bit of footage of Bransholme, I think.
Yes, that's right. Well, this is later. This is in the 10th of February at 7:45 p.m. at the St John's Church on Warne Road on the Bransholme estate. Local film producer Neil Coleman is screening 2 BBC archive documentaries about life on Bransholme, and we have a VT from that.
I think we've got a little footage of that as well.
In homes where parents are unemployed, discipline can often break down, leaving the kids very much to their own devices. On Bransholme, gangs of young boys can be seen on the streets wreaking their own brand of mischief and mayhem. No public amenity is safe. But these are the more visible problems.
People go on, for example, about drugs and about glue sniffing and so on. I mean, our impression, our feeling is that that isn't as much of an issue as one might expect on an estate like this, although there certainly is a problem, probably that will grow in time. But we think alcohol is a problem.
It's hard to put your finger on quite how and why. You know that that's very old and all happened a long time ago, but it does look so dated, doesn't it?
1985.
1985?
That first film. And then there was a follow-up film in 1997, which is also going to be on show on the 10th of February.
I look forward to seeing all those, Luke. Thanks very much for
Same
coming in.
next
Talk
week.
to you again next week. Thank you very much. Time now for Fred with all the sports news.
We'll start with the news that former Grimsby Town player and Scunthorpe United Academy graduate Graham Taylor has passed away. He made almost 200 appearances for the Mariners after starting his career at the Iron and later managed the England national team. He led his country following Italy '90, having succeeded Sir Bobby Robson in the position. He also played for Lincoln City, Aston Villa, Wolves and Watford. He was 72. Meanwhile, with the current crop of Mariners players, Grimsby Town manager Marcus Bignut has spoken of his admiration for Exeter City, who Grimsby Town will play in the League 2 game in this coming Saturday at Blundell Park.
You look at their away record, it's quite remarkable what they do, but it's going to be a tactical game in terms of the manager won't be frightened to change systems within play, so it will create certain problems and we need to find solutions to them. But again, like I keep saying week in week, it will be about us, and so we'll concentrate on us and hopefully carry on wanting to be better.
Reports today are suggesting that Hull City will finally complete the signing of Everton's Oumar Niasse after the striker completed a medical. The Senegalese international striker is expected to pen a loan deal until the summer, with the possibility of signing permanently after that. Meanwhile, Porto midfielder Evanjo Gobel is also reportedly close to a move to the KCOM Stadium. He's reportedly a permanent target for the Tigers, having worked with the boss Marco Silva at Portuguese club Estuary in the past. North Ferriby United defender Sam Topless says it's a shame that Scunthorpe United duo Carl Wootton and Livy Sutton have returned to Glanford Park. The pair had been on loan at the Villagers but were recalled by United manager Graham Alexander early this week. And Topless says they have been both doing well with Ferriby. And that's all for the sport.
Thank you very much, Fred. I'm afraid that's all we have time for this evening. If you'd like to get in touch, please do. Details on the screen immediately below here. And please do get in touch. Estuary.tv, Facebook, what's the other one called? Twitter, or you can write to us. And I'm afraid that is everything for tonight. Good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather,